Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once you think of a Medina style of Islamic society as a land where you grow your own fresh food, own your own property, the land is surrounded by nature, the mosques are built according to the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ Sunnah, and the Muslim day-to-day activity is governed by the law of Allah. In the world of today, most nations have become very dependent on the Western nations because during the colonization period, the group of Western nations that colonized other nations introduced new ideas to those colonized nations. As those nations become closer to the West, adopt and follow the Western nations' ways. Those colonized nations lose their own gift of spirituality. The new ideas that were introduced to the colonized nations remove those nations from the state of spirituality, because though the ideas were from satanic knowledge. An example, the entertainment industry is from satanic knowledge, to be constantly surrounded with materialism and images has an effect on spirituality. The monetary system is satanic. The education system is also satanic. The parliamentary system is also from satanic knowledge, with the example of United Nations, because to obey and collectively surrender to authority other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unlawful in Islam. Almost all the knowledge of materialisms that were introduced to these nations were from satanic knowledge. This is why we need guardians. The process has continued since the period of colonization. If the believers would have remained with the knowledge of Al-Quran and the Sunnah and reject those ideas, they would have the upper hand and powerful in the land, because this is a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Al-Quran. As time went on and those Western nations became more and more powerful and advanced in knowledge to further give us advanced technology for instance, the weapon of fighting, like aircraft, tanks, ships, guns, submarines, cars, and engines, and running pipeline through the seas until they conquer with his weapons and total control of the lands and almost the entire earth, and earth resources like the petroleum oil, to further give us more material things. All of this knowledge came from satanic knowledge. Now that all the power is on the hands, they have now decided to hand the power and authority and control of the earth over to Al-Masih Dajjal. So this Dajjal, with every authority in his hand, he has decided that in order for the human race, the people, to have their ways on the earth, they need to give him to sajda. They need to bow down and worship him. So this is why they are planning to trap the human race into the digital system, the digital empire, by merging man with digital computer. This is why we are in a digital age. This digital empire will imprison and surround people in a world of graphics and force people to depend even more on digital technology for everything. The reason they're doing this is because the tyrant Al-Masih Dajjal wants to be worshipped. And in order for the Zionists to achieve this mission, to make the human race bow down to Dajjal, they need to trap the human race into digital system. This is the road they're taking. This is the road the digital technology is taking the human race to. This is the road the digital technology is taking human race to. Those who control this system are taking the human race into what are called a world of no return. Who gave this tyrant the authority to lead us? Clearly not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala labeled them as criminals in the Al-Quran. we've been misguided to follow them step by step. And in order to come out of this trap, we need the Quran and the Sunnah for spiritual guidance. The Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is the only solution to the current problem. There will never be any financial crisis to trap the people into the hand of a tyrant. According to Al-Quran and the Sunnah, Muslims will have freedom, and more freedom from Al-Masih Dajjal's digital empire in an Islamic society. Muslims do not need paper money. Muslims don't need liquid or chemical like toothpaste and all of our technology in an Islamic society. In an Islamic society, everything will be God-given natural materials. All of today's technology, advanced technology, materials and means of transport cause people to depend on very few nations. According to Al-Quran and Sunnah, a man can rent and buy an animal like a camel with dinar or dirham. Whether the camel is big, small, fast, clever, young or old, all of these will affect their prices when renting the camels. Where there will be addition or decrease to the price on the terms and conditions both the buyer and seller agree upon. Camels are animals and cannot be used as a method of payment like commodities, gold and silver, but camels could be exchanged for other camels with money on top. If the camel is mature, it costs more. If the camel is young, it costs less than a mature camel. And the exchanging of camels with money on top. The money on top in this kind of transaction, camel transaction, has to be done on the spot in that moment, without the delay in the transaction, because the time away from the debt are usually counted as further charges, and the Prophet forbid this, as this is riba. The Prophet ﷺ would normally advise the Muslims to pay in advance to avoid further charges. Prophet also forbid the selling of what's in the womb of cattle until they gave birth the baby cattle. They give birth the baby cattle. Selling the slaves who had fled. Selling spoils of war not until it had been distributed. Selling sadaqah not until it had been received. And when Muslims do trade, according to Quran and Sunnah, the seller and the buyer must be just in their business transactions, because Allah commands believers to deal justly. If they were unjust in their business dealings, they might gain some financial gain, but they will deprive their sales of Allah's blessing, and this is how Muslims must live in an Islamic society. These are some of the ways. These are some of the Sunnah ways that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala command believers to do lawful financial transactions when engaging in businesses, whether in an Islamic society or any other society. Doing business the Sunnah way allows Muslims to be independent from being controlled by other nations. As we can see, the financial transactions of Zionist Islamic banks are not gold and silver. And the Sharia system is also wrong, which makes the current banking system of today un-Islamic. And the Islamic financial system of today are controlled